Hello, friends. Ned here. So the episode that you're listening to is not episode 3 of Nightmare Before Groundhog Day, and I don't want to dwell too long on the reason for why it is not that episode, but just suffice to say that November 2024 has been a difficult and discouraging time for us over here at Improv Tabletop, and we decided that we want to give ourselves a little space and to do something that is just very low stakes and lighthearted, to just chill out a little bit. And so that is why Sonic is back. Sonic is Sonic. Anyway, friends, if you find that you also are experiencing a difficult or discouraging time, just know that we're with you. We love you. We're pulling for you. And we're still trying to do our best to bring a little bit of light into the world. And that's what we hope this podcast can do, is give you a little bit of a light to look for if you are finding yourself in a bit of a dark time at the moment. And so here is a very fun, very unhinged conversation that my friends and I had about a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. So let's get right on into that. What's shaking, everybody? Sonic? Yep, Sonic. Here we are. It is happening. I am Ned Wilcock, your host and GM, and today I'm joined by
Christian Randall, here to do the robot.
Connor Wood. You might know everything I'm going to do, but that won't help you because I know everything you're going to do. Strange, isn't it? I wrote that one down.
I wrote that one.
And Sammy Ryan, gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast.
Yeah, so we have watched the entirety of the film Sonic the Hedgehog the movie from the year 1996, originally released in Japan in 2 separate episodes, and then compiled into one movie to be released in the United States. And Christian watched this under duress because you are sick right now.
Yeah, I'm like, this is just making it a real, true fever dream.
I think you watched it the way it's intended, honestly. This is like you're staying home from school because you're sick, so you're watching this.
Got a bucket of NyQuil, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so raise your hand verbally if you have watched this movie before we decided to do this thing.
Me.
Yes. So that is a large part of the reason why we decided to bring Sammy in here. So you've heard, listeners, me and Christian and Connor suffer for Sonic for hours on end at this point, and we decided that we needed a Sherpa to help guide us up this mountain.
Yes.
And Sammy is quite possibly, I mean, no offense to you, Connor, but I think Sammy knows a lot more about Sonic than you do.
That is A-okay. I'm glad to have somebody.
Yeah, it's not...
That is so good to know because I have so many questions after watching this movie.
So yeah, like the first thing that I kind of want to get into with this movie it seems like this is taking place in maybe like a separate lore or separate canon from a lot of the other Sonic media. Can that be corroborated?
Yeah, it is.
Because it's not in... What's the name of the planet? It's Freedom is the name of this planet.
Planet Freedom.
Planet Freedom.
Yeah, because it opens up and like there's this floating continent, like this big floating chunk of land. And I'm thinking, is that the Green Hill Zone? Is the Green Hill Zone floating in the air and covered with like derelict spaceships and airplanes and stuff? What the heck is going on here? But it turns out that this is kind of a separate alternate Planet Freedom. There's the Land of the Sky, the Land of Darkness stuff going on. So I'm not sure like how canonical this is supposed to be compared with the rest of the Sonic universe, but it seems like this was Metal Sonic's like first big introduction to the world in a sense, perhaps.
Yes, and I believe they knocked his design out of the park immediately. I think he looks so good in this.
Yeah.
So I had a question.
Word.
I am probably the least familiar with Sonic out of everyone here.
So you had a great time.
Yeah.
So we read, one of them I believe had Sonic. One of the books did.
Yeah, Sonic versus Sonic.
Entirely different thing.
That is a different Metal Sonic.
Get Sonic out of your mind. That's a different guy.
Okay, so Sonic the robot is not super mayhem fast boy Sonic the Robot.
No.
Hyper Metal Sonic, I believe you'll find is his Christian name.
Is given Christian name.
Yes. It's okay. Let's see if we can like parse out sort of the plot of this movie.
Let's.
So we can generally
Before we do that, I just want to say,
Oh yes.
I have to take back some of the insults I gave to the writers of those books after I watched this. I'm like, oh, they were just staying true to the source material.
Yeah, man, this is just how it goes.
Oh, it's so true.
Because I was like, these books are so disconnected. We just jump from one place to the other.
I know.
Nothing is making any sense. And then I watched the movie. I was like, oh, this is just what they do in Sonic, apparently.
Yes.
You see, this was like the big thing that stuck out to me within the first like couple minutes of this movie, because like, well, I mean, it starts out really awesome where it's just like, it's darkness, and then there's like this temporary flash of illumination, and you see like a various portion of Metal Sonic's body, and he looks amazing. And then Eggman comes in, and he literally says, "When you awaken, kill him."
Yeah.
So
I was like,
Yeah, we're just going 0 to 100.
I was like, is this a dark, like,
Kill this guy!
is this a seriously dark movie? I'm super into it right away.
They did a fun little ping pong game with the tone of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like immediately after that, we go to this nice, beautiful floating island where Sonic and Tails are having a nice like beach vacation. And this is like where my connection with the book starts coming in, because we've been reading these books and we've been joking about how like, man, I think Sonic and Tails don't actually like each other. I think like under the surface they have a deep hatred for each other. And then like within the first 2 or 3 minutes of this movie, Sonic literally shouts at the top of his lungs, "Shut up, Tails," after Tails has been screaming for help because he's trapped on like this mechanical boogie board thing he's been made.
Yeah, no, I thought the same thing.
Even before his frantic cries for help, Sonic immediately is dishing out microaggressions.
Yeah.
Sonic is so like arrogant in everything he's in. And for some reason, like Tails just looks up to him, and that's like his whole relationship. He's like, I want to be Sonic when I grow up.
Why, dude?
Now, is that something that continues into like later iterations in like our Sonic X, in our Sonic Boom, that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There's like a whole scene in the Sonic Adventure game where Tails is like dreaming about like how Sonic is everything to him and always saves him and how he has to do right by him.
Wait, but like, I'm sorry. Throughout the movie, Tails seemed to do a lot more useful stuff again than Sonic did. Like,
Yeah, man.
same as the book.
Another running theme. Tails is vital, and Sonic doesn't realize that ever.
Yeah, and we see like our first big moment of this is, you know, Tails is out, he's got his hyper-powered boogie board that he's riding around the lake on, and then out of nowhere, this like owl in a spaceship shows up and starts like his rocket's on fire. His name, I think, is literally Old Man.
Old Man.
That's the only thing that they call him throughout the entirety of the movie.
Not the old man. Old man.
and is he like canonically important? Because like, they're like, oh, it's the old man again, but are we supposed to like know who he is?
I think that is their adoptive father, but I don't know.
He's the president's messenger.
Yes, because the president is in this movie.
So that's their invasive mailman.
I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but like, the president's daughter Sarah has a tail?
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll
yeah.
get there.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why Old Man is here, the messenger from the president, like he shows up on his malfunctioning rocket that's literally on fire.
Yeah.
And Tails is like, "Hey man, I gotta save you. Your rocket's on fire." And Old Man is like, "Oh my gosh, that's why it's flying so weird." And so Tails comes in and is doing actual legitimate hero stuff, trying to save this guy from being blown up. And at one point, they're like heading straight towards this cliff wall, and Tails shouts out, "Help!" And Sonic, for some reason, even though he's been ignoring Tails this entire time, Tails has been screaming for Sonic to help him for like a couple minutes straight now. And then suddenly, there's like this switch in Sonic's brain that flips and goes like, maybe it's time to actually be a hero and actually do something cool. And I just don't know what his morality system, like what's his barometer?
I think he just remembered what the word help means.
Yeah.
Like 40 seconds in.
I think in Sonic's mind, it's just, I have to wait till the very last possible moment to prove how fast I am.
Oh, yeah. So he can go fast.
And so he just doesn't do anything until it's like, if I don't do anything within the next half of a second, the world will explode. and then he shows how fast he's like,
Maybe procrastination is like part of his power.
Maybe.
it's like, it's so easy for me because I'm fast.
Yes. Well, okay, but this is funny because Sonic's theme song, he says, I don't show off and I don't criticize.
Okay, Sonic's
I know.
theme song, yeah.
Okay, but I feel like his thing is that he honestly just doesn't care until the very end where he's like, ugh, I can do something, so I will do something. That's what I get from him.
Yeah, we do get, though, this really cool moment. This is the moment where we see Sonic go fast.
Yeah.
Because he's just been sitting in this beach chair the entire time getting annoyed when Tails splashes water on him. And then he's like, it's time to be the hero. And he go fast.
You go fast.
You go fast.
He like grabs these two from the rocket, like you see it hit the wall, there's an explosion, and out of the explosion, Sonic goes soaring with Tails and Old Man in each of his hands, and he saves the day. And then Old Man they're like, oh, hey, why are you here? And he's like, to quote exactly, you see the president. That's just like another wrench that was thrown into the story that I wasn't ready for. The president was not Bill Clinton like I was expecting it would be given the time that this film was released. But he's like, yeah, you have to come see the president. There's some problem going on. And then they go to see the president on another big, like, floating island city, just majestic skyscrapers going up into the air. And they come to see the president, and surprise, Robotnik has taken over the president's personal office with a bunch of robots that have guns and stuff.
Wham, wham.
Which, like, I'm just, and again, maybe this is just a thing about Sonic I don't get, but like, Dr. Eggman was right there. Like,
yeah.
His whole, like, plan seems really convoluted and not like a plan. I was so confused. I was like, so is he not a bad guy? Is he just, like, a silly guy?
This is the thing that really confused me towards the latter portion of this film, because like I mentioned, it was originally released as 2 separate episodes in Japan, and then they smacked them together and released it for us Americans to swill ourselves upon. In the first half, in the first episode, it's kind of like, oh, the stakes are raising, cool action scenes, and then the second half is where it just really loses me in a lot of ways, where I'm just not getting how they're trying to tie things up at all, because like they show up, Robotnik is just there. He's got some sort of plan that he's working towards, but he's like, hey, I've kidnapped the president and his daughter. And we got our first glimpse of the president and his daughter. The president, he's dressed like Tsar Nicholas II.
Yeah. Big Tsar vibes.
And I think the humans in this iteration of the Sonic world are like elves or something, because they've got pointy ears.
They're elf monkeys.
Yeah, because the president has the pointy ears, and later on we see like one of his secretaries who also has pointy ears.
Yeah.
But then there's his daughter,
Sarah,
who is a very different thing entirely. His daughter Sarah, the president's daughter Sarah.
Who there's immediately like a loud flirtationship going on between her and Sonic, which why is that always there? I don't know.
Yeah, and she does have a tail.
She does.
So that's canon? Like, he's got a thing with the president's daughter?
No.
He's always just flirting with every human and everything.
Humans?
He likes humans. He does not like animals.
What?
Christian's face.
He does not like Amy Rose, who is a literal other hedgehog, but show him a princess or the daughter of a president, and he's all over it.
Or the cop lady in Sonic X.
Yeah. You know, there's a famous scene, sorry, not to get off the tracks, there's a famous scene in Sonic 06 where he kisses a human person.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's something else.
Which,
anyway.
you know, this...
Let's get back to this train wreck.
This realization that I'm just barely coming to is like, because in Sonic 06, she's the princess, right? That's her whole shtick.
Yes, of the world.
And in this one, it's the president's daughter.
Of the world. The president of the world's daughter.
So Sonic is just like a gold digger.
Yeah. Also, he's canonically homeless. I think that's an important part of Sonic's character that we don't talk about very often.
That's true.
He's not just hanging out at the beach because he's having a beach day. This man does not have a house.
He is.
And there's this one point later on where they're like, we went back to the house, and it's the dilapidated, rusting airplane back on this island that apparently they're living inside of.
Tails usually has a house.
Yeah.
That's because Tails is a fiscally responsible and heroic young man, and I appreciate his energy.
I don't know that I've ever watched a movie that felt so much like trying to explain a dream to someone.
Oh man, that's a good way to put it.
Because there were so many moments where it was like, even, again, I know I'm jumping ahead, but like what does that matter in the linear storytelling of this thing?
Oh, dude, the zone warp thing is so weird because all of a sudden they're just like there. They're like, this thing is coming up. Now we're inside of it. Now we're in somewhere new.
That one threw me off. But then at the near the end when he's fighting Metal Sonic, like he goes unconscious and he and Metal Sonic are in a ball going up, and then the next time we see them, they're just fighting again, and somehow he got out of that bubble, but we never see how that happened.
Christian, it sounds to me like you've never fought a doppelganger, and it shows.
It shows.
If you had fought a doppelganger, you would understand that just happens.
It's just part of it.
Now, getting back to like the linear exposition of this story, we've just met the president of the world and his catgirl daughter, Sarah. And Robotnik, this is where he starts to try and like lay out his plan. And he starts giving the exposition for this world that they live on.
So much exposition.
And Sonic calls him out on it. He's like, we already know this. And then Robotnik is like, okay, but I'm a literary device right now. Shut up. And he keeps talking about like the structure of this world, where I'm not entirely sure that I've got it correct, because there's two like different realms. There's the Land of Sky and the Land of Darkness. And the Land of Sky is this series of floating continents that we later discover are actually somehow connected by a giant glacier that goes underneath all of them. Yeah. But then underneath that is the Land of Darkness, which is like the surface of this planet, that there was like some cataclysm and all these continents got blown up into the sky, and now they're being suspended up there by glaciers, but there's still a world happening underneath the clouds in the Land of Darkness where Robotnik lives. I have this correct?
Mm-hmm. I think you summed it up pretty well. At this point in the story, the president and everyone else is asleep.
Yeah, they get bored and fall asleep. Which, also, I have a question. Just another general Sonic question.
Uh-huh.
Why is he doing this? Because, like, it seems like he's got a pretty baller civilization. He basically is the god of robots everywhere. He can do whatever he wants. Why is he dealing with all these people up above? Like, what's the point? Is he mad about something?
He needs elf-monkey companionship.
He wants to rule the planet. Like, he wants to be the ruler of the planet. What he has is not enough to him.
Yeah, he wants to wife up Sarah, who's like 15 or something.
And he wants to kill Sonic the Hedgehog.
That too, obviously.
So
I would too if I was honestly, I would probably want to kill that little guy.
A little twerp.
It's understandable. He's not a pleasant individual to be around from all indications in this movie.
No, not at all.
But yeah, so like Robotnik comes in and he's all like, so Robotropolis, which incidentally is the name of the city in Metal City Mayhem, the first Sonic book that we read. So he's like, Robotropolis, the giant city that I'm in charge of, Metal Robotnik showed up. Metal Robotnik? Oh my goodness, what could this be? He's like, Metal Robotnik showed up and he's the real bad guy, and he kicked me out of Robotropolis, and he overcharged some kind of generator, and if the generator doesn't get shut off in time, then there's going to be a huge explosion. And he's like, you have to go in there and you have to stop Metal Robotnik, not me Robotnik. You have to stop Metal Robotnik, a definitely different individual who's trying to take over from me. And you have to like shut off this generator so that the world doesn't explode. Can you help me? Can you help me, please, Sonic? We've been enemies this entire time, but now I'm coming to you hat in hand, asking you as a friend. We've gone through so many things together. Can you stop Metal Robotnik from destroying the world, please? And so he decides, yes, let's do it.
Even as you explain it, it makes less sense.
Well, the thing is, he talks to Tails on the way. He's like, so this is obviously a trap, right? And Tails is like, yeah, I don't know. Let's just follow this GPS he gave us.
Yeah, because Robotnik slaps a navigator onto Tails' wrist, like, as soon as they agree. And he's like, Tails, this is a navigator. It's going to take you to Robotropolis. And they've got this scene where Tails is flying his airplane, and Sonic is standing on top of the airplane, just like in the start of the video game. And he's basically like, hey, Tails, are you sure that navigator thing that Robotnik put on you isn't a Chekhov's gun? And he's like, I mean, well, maybe it is, but it's the only way we have to get... It's the only way we have to get to Robotropolis.
Oh, man, the Tails voice in this.
I very much prefer your Tails voice.
Oh, thank you.
I miss the Ned Tails voice.
Oh, all the voices are so terrible.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
It's
really
insane.
Quick, I just want to say, Sonic, this kind of sounds like Liza Minnelli a lot of the time.
Correct.
Well, there was one line in particular, I was like, oh my god. He was like, Everybody stand back. Nobody try to help me. I have to destroy this imposter.
Yeah.
That sounded like a Broadway diva queen. I was like, dang, girl, get her.
I will say, I could definitely tell when this thing was voiced because McKenna really loves Sailor Moon, but she only likes the bad voice acting ones.
There's that joie de vivre from the 90s. It's so good.
Yes.
It's not very good, but they get all they got.
They do. They do.
Well, because like I spent literal years trying to find the original voiceover for one of the Sailor Moon movies, like The Power of Love or something. I forget what it is.
Yeah.
And you can only find it on the VHS. All the DVDs are the new voiceovers, and she was so bad. And I was like, these are so much better. She's like, nope. And listening to this, I was like, oh, this is what she wants. People all up in their nose, and it's just woof.
You're familiar with it. You've seen the first Pokemon animations.
Yeah, man.
Quality art.
Boy, I love jelly donuts.
Oh, goodness.
Jelly donut.
Like, there's something unhinged about all of our trio of heroes, because Knuckles also shows up at some point.
Okay.
He does, with his hat.
Okay, is he Australian? American? What's his deal?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we start with Sonic, and he's got this weird thing where he's trying to be bold and heroic, but also laid back and carefree at the same time. And so he'll just like kind of slur his way through some of his lines while he's trying to sound really awesome.
It's kind of British sometimes too. It's so weird.
And Knuckles is vaguely Australian, but also maybe vaguely Texan in some points.
Oh man.
He's got an Australian hat. That's the big thing that's throwing you off the entire time.
Yeah.
Also, can he just like fly?
He can glide.
He can glide.
Yeah, that's his special ability. Is when they animate it, like in the video games, when he glides, you can see him like Superman pose, fists out in the front, and you can see, okay, yes, he's gliding, he's slowly going down. But in this movie, he just kind of like levitates at high speed wherever he needs to go.
Yeah, flying.
No, flying is like what Tails does, where he rotates his two tails at high speed. That's flying. What Knuckles is doing is just some kind of like telekinetic mind freak power.
No. They've tried to scientifically explain it in other Sonic canon, where he catches the air under his giant fist and can manipulate it.
Okay.
He's just aerodynamic because of his big hands.
Yeah. Like Dumbo.
So okay, help me out here. Sonic's a hedgehog, Tails is a fox, and Knuckles is
An echidna.
an echidna?
Yes. I know a lot of fun facts about echidnas, but this is a family-friendly show, so I'm not going to talk about them.
Oh, monotremes, gotta love them.
Yeah!
I gotta go on a Google rabbit hole.
Yes, you do.
You don't want to go there, Christian.
There is one other bit of like perhaps apocryphal information that I found online while I was researching the voice actors, and some people speculate that Tails' voice actor, she literally had a cold on the day she had to record. She just showed up and recorded it anyway.
Amazing. I would not be surprised.
I mean,
she sounds ill. I love it.
That's how I feel right now. I'll do it. I'll be Tails.
And Tails is like the best one, too, is the bad part.
Yeah.
I know.
Like, Tails has genuine like consistency in the voice
And character.
Yeah.
I was cracking up at some of Tails' lines, especially because Tails doesn't always put up with Sonic's crap. He throws it right back at him.
Tails is my favorite.
Yeah, it almost kind of feels like with Knuckles and Sonic, as they were going through the recording process, the voice director occasionally would be like, okay, we're at this new scene. Can you maybe try and take it in a little bit of a different direction? Like, what if Knuckles was Crocodile Dundee right now and had just like a little bit of an Australian accent?
Oh my
And then they
gosh.
tried that and they're like, okay, let's take it in a different direction for this next scene. Maybe he's a little bit Texan, but then they don't go back and re-record the old ones where he was an Australian. They're just like, we don't have time for that. We don't have a budget for this. Let's just keep going. Oh, man. Where are we in the story?
So, Sonic and Tails are running.
They're about to descend into the world of darkness to follow
and then
Robotnik's plan.
They're running and then they're like, it's a zone warp. And then all of a sudden they're in a zone warp. And then
Well, before that, they had to go through the giant tornado to get down.
Which was never, like, gone back to.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's the thing that has me confused, was like, it almost made it seem like they were doing some sort of temporal plane shifting, which is why there's part of me that's wondering, is the land of sky and the land of darkness, are they like two like spiritual versions of the same plane that are superimposed upon each other? Because the only way they can get to the shadow land, the land of shadow, is through this giant tornado in the clouds underneath. So and there's like red lightning striking all around them. Maybe there is some sort of transportation thing going on, but there definitely is some sort of transportation thing going on after they land in this huge abandoned city.
Yes.
They look at all these buildings and they're like, look at all the relics sinking into the ocean.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think that's a building. I don't think that's a relic. Maybe.
I wonder how much of this is like translation stuff.
It's post-apocalypse is what it's supposed to be.
Yes. Okay.
So I mean, it was like definitely New York.
Pretty much, yeah.
Definitely New York City.
It was the city zone. Maybe. I don't want to get never.
But like, also it was like just New York City. It was just like, here are street signs. Here's 44th Avenue. Like,
that's the before times.
So does Sonic take place on Earth?
No, it's freedom.
Yeah,
idiot.
in this it's freedom.
Right, sorry, it's Freedom Planet.
But in different Sonic canons, he does live on Earth, but it's Earth way, way in the future, right?
Yes.
It's not always Earth in the future.
Sometimes it's modern day, like an adventure.
Because I think like a large part of the premise of Sonic X is like they go through a time warp. They're like in the same place, but they go back in time to when humans are living on the Earth. And Sonic is existing in a future version of the Earth.
Yes.
But this is not Earth. This is Planet Freedom. And there's one president who rules the entire planet.
Monkey Elf Man.
Is Robotnik human?
Robotnik? Yes. He just has some gastrointestinal issues, so he looks like that.
He's very round.
Yeah.
Very round. Just like the president. Just like President Tsar Nicholas II.
So they get to this city, they hop up on a building and are like, oh, look, it's the city. And then we flash back and Robotnik and the president's daughter are playing a video game and Robotnik keeps winning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he's good at video games, because he's a nerd.
Because he's a robot guy.
Yeah. And then, so like Sarah loses and she's like, oh, I'm so upset. We need to play again so I can beat you. And Robotnik's like, I'm so sick of this right now. And she's like, if you don't play with me again, I'm not going to be your hostage anymore. And he's like, okay,
right.
Fine, I'll play with you some more.
She's clearly in control of the situation.
Which is like, again, it started out, when you awaken, kill him.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh boy, I gotta play this video game or she won't be my hostage anymore. Oh.
Yeah, or my wife eventually, apparently.
My wife. Yeah, I'd like to believe that during this video game session, he fell madly in love with her, because he wasn't really doing the I'm gonna marry you thing until afterwards.
I also love that you could definitely tell that the animators needed to reuse certain frames
Yes.
a lot.
Oh, it's classic.
So which is why I think they played the video game twice, and like we got a lot of repeating shots over and over again.
They're like, we need 50 minutes, guys. Put this one back in.
But while Robotnik and the president's daughter, Sarah the cat girl, are playing video games, Sonic and Tails are like, okay, there's nobody in this city. We need to run really fast to get to Robotropolis over there. And at this point, the movie turns into a Sonic the Hedgehog video game. They're just going really fast, and it's like a legitimately pretty cool sequence.
Yeah, well animated. It's fun.
Jumping from mountaintop to mountaintop, and then the badniks start showing up, and they're boffing them and destroying all of these robots. And eventually there's so many of them, and this is where we get to the zone warp thingy.
Yeah, he's like, don't worry, just ahead, we're gonna go through a warp, and just they do.
They do. Then they do.
Yeah, they run really fast, and then suddenly there's like this. We see a different place, and out of nothing materializes Sonic and Tails, and they fall to the ground. And they're like, "Okay, this is Robotropolis. We know it's." Wait, are they in Robotropolis quite yet?
No, because what happens is the president's daughter is like, I want to go on a car ride.
That's right.
And then a giant robot bursts through the door, and she's like, yay, a car. And then she jumps inside of it, and Robotnik's like, no, don't press those buttons. And then he jumps inside of it, and then they disappear. And the president's like, my daughter.
and then we get to a different part of the city. It's not Robotropolis yet because they don't get to Robotropolis until
after Knuckles. Yeah.
But like they're in this other part of this abandoned city, and then Metal Robotnik appears.
Oh my gosh.
It's a giant evil robot that has the voice of Robotnik, but it's Metal Robotnik. It's not Robotnik, it's Metal Robotnik, definitely for sure.
Whoa.
He starts shooting him.
Yeah, with
bullets.
Yeah.
With an actual real gun.
Get right into it, no preamble.
Yeah, they get into this big old fight, and at one point, like Sonic and Tails are running down a bridge. Metal Robotnik blows up the bridge with missiles, with literal actual missiles, and Sonic and Tails are like, uh-oh, we can't fall down in that. And Metal Robotnik is like, no, you can't, because you can't swim. That's your weakness. I know that.
That is canonically his weakness.
Yeah, I didn't realize until later on when, they pretend that they fall into the water and they're like, okay, we tricked him. And then they jump onto a different section of the road and Metal Robotnik's like, you didn't trick me. And then he turns around and
I'm too smart.
He starts farting giant blobs of glue foam at them.
Yes.
I think it's cheese.
No, he does say cheese, but
That's right. Is it supposed to be cheese, do you
I
think?
don't know, man. It looks like glue.
I think it's like the cheese you would put on like a chili dog.
It's glue cheese.
It's glue foam. the big sticky Metal Robotnik, a giant killer robot that shoots glue foam.
Big sticky mess.
But like, did I see this incorrectly, or did Metal Robotnik turn around and like drop his metal trousers and start shooting this foam out of his rear end?
Absolutely, you are
Pretty sure
correct.
it's IRL, yeah.
Okay, I did see that corrected, and I wish I hadn't.
So yeah. Go ahead, explain the lore behind that one.
Okay, Dr. Robotnik thought it would be funny to put those there, so he did.
Is this the gastrointestinal issues you were talking about?
Yes. A lot of his main, more powerful weapons have to do with farts.
But like one of these globs hits Tails and pins him up to a fence, and then
because he's scared of lightning.
that's right, yes. There's lightning crackling, and he gets distracted, gets pinned to this fence. Robotnik is like, ha, I've gotten you out of this situation. Now I'm going to blow up Sonic with some actual real missiles. And he's like, I've taken care of Sonic. He's destroyed. Now I'm going to destroy you. And Tails is like, you couldn't destroy Sonic that easy. And he's like, you're right. And he comes riding back on one of the missiles.
On a missile.
Back to Robotnik.
Yeah, he's like bull riding this thing. It's great.
Yeah, and he shoots the missile into Metal Robotnik's face, and there's this big explosion, but in the midst of it, Sonic is like, okay, now I have to go save Tails. And he steps in one of the glue foam balls.
Oh, no.
And he gets trapped. He gets stuck on the road here.
Big sticky mess.
And then the street starts breaking apart, and it starts sinking down because Metal Robotnik is like, you couldn't destroy me with just one missile, stomp. And the asphalt starts shattering and starts sucking him down under the water. And this is the moment when I realize, oh, that's why they keep talking about how they can't swim, because it's the video game. That makes sense now.
So I want to add some context to Eggman dropping his pants. I feel like
There's context?
the only logic that I can get, because it is supposed to be just glue.
Yes.
The logic, I think, is that Eggman is round, and so like in a robot, storing it in that area makes the most like sense spatially.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ergonomically speaking.
It's just a logistical concern.
Like that's
to
why
understand, you must simply think of robotics.
Robotnik.
Robotnik.
Oh, man.
Shoot, now I forgot what I was gonna say about the other thing.
Glue is stored in the butt. Got it.
I got distracted by Robotnik.
Robotnik.
It's easy to get distracted by Robotnik. I get it.
Oh, the video game. Sonic not being able to swim.
Yes.
The creators have said we made it that way because we didn't want him to be perfect. He had to have a flaw. So we just picked a random flaw.
His flaw is water.
And it was that he couldn't swim.
Not that he's really mean to his friends and super lazy and like
That's not a flaw to them.
so many other flaws.
Behold, literally the only flaw that is held by Sonic the Hedgehog. He cannot swim.
Otherwise, he's perfect.
I can't swim.
Oh, man. But then, at this point, the screenwriters are like, okay, we need to do fan service and a Deus Ex Machina at the same time. Who shows up? It's Knuckles the Echidna. Wow. Everybody's favorite Australian, but maybe Texan, but maybe just American Echidna.
Yeah.
Are they even native to America?
Yes. I don't know.
South America?
They're native to freedom.
They're native to freedom.
Tell you that much.
Yeah, let me go to the internet.
Oh, internet.
Where are echidnas native to?
Echidna distribution.
Originally, he was supposed to be Jamaican.
What?
Yeah. When they created Knuckles, he was supposed to be Jamaican.
That is...
So the echidna, basically Australia and a couple other places just north of Australia.
Makes sense.
Okay. So he's definitely...
Hence the Australian hat.
Hence the Australian hat.
Yes, it suddenly is beginning to make sense, and I wish they had committed to it more.
Yes.
As do I.
But I also would have been really intrigued by a Jamaican Knuckles.
Yeah, that would have been a choice.
Yeah, that did not. They squashed that really fast.
I know, maybe it kind of ish makes sense with some of the lore, because he's from like the ancient Echidna civilization.
Oh.
Which is like Mayan civilization.
Yeah. Kind of Aztec-y, the Angel Island, and all that good stuff.
Oh, is this like deep lore that I don't know about? Like,
Yeah.
This is that good Sonic Adventure stuff. He's the guardian of the Master Emerald.
oh, where he gets the magic powers from punching so hard that he can fly.
Yeah.
Because the only other echidna that I'm aware of, well, I know that there are other echidnas, but the only one I know the name of is Tikaldi echidna.
Oh, yeah.
They all got destroyed.
They got killed by chaos.
By chaos?
Yeah, by chaos.
That'll happen to you.
Is that with a capital C?
Yeah. He's a big blue water guy. You don't want to mess with
Yeah,
him.
he's a water guy.
He's blue. I thought Chaos Emeralds were green.
They're all colors.
That's
There's
you.
7 of them, and they're different colors.
Yes.
Wait, they're called Chaos Emeralds, but they're all different colors?
Indeed.
Yes, because they're chaotic. Duh.
Just like how in real life, emeralds are like a bunch of different colors.
There's a yellow and a blue and a silver and a red.
I guess.
If it makes you feel better, the Master Emerald is green.
Yeah, and that one controls them all.
Oh.
Yeah.
I have so much to learn.
Christian, I notice you're not taking notes. You might want to...
There will be a test.
You would have benefited from taking notes like I did exhaustively while I was watching this earlier today.
There you go.
Now, at this point, Knuckles comes in, he saves Tails, Tails goes and saves Sonic. It's like this big, heroic, everybody coming together moment. And then they're like fastball specialing Sonic through the air.
It's pretty great. I actually do love that part.
Yeah, I straight up thought they were going to kill Robotnik and the president's daughter. I was like, they're putting it right through his chest where they are. What is the plan here?
Yeah, because like Knuckles grabs Sonic and throws him. He does a supersonic spin attack and just like drills straight through. Tails is up in the air, grabs him, tosses him down through the other side. Metal Robotnik, boom, out of it. And they're like, okay, now let's go to Robotropolis. And they can tell that it's Robotropolis because it has Robotnik's face in lights all over the top of it.
Yep, giant.
Wow.
And so, as part 1 of Sonic the Hedgehog the movie concludes, so too does part 1 of our conversation about Sonic the Hedgehog the movie. We'll be back next week with our concluding thoughts on the second half of this movie. It gets weirder, it gets wilder. We had lots of fun with this conversation. Hopefully you did as well. And we're looking forward to catching you next time. I've been Ned, and all of my friends have been wonderful. We'll catch you next time on Improv Tabletop.
The thing that upset me the most is that it's just like I remember watching as a kid.